Have you seen any data with those who do this test who are people who are on ketosis and the commonalities of deficiencies that you've seen on with these tests?
What I've seen is that when people are intermittent fasting and when they are doing it poorly, their levels really across the board are going to be low.
The perfect diet will not get you well today, but you can't get well without that being part of the equation as well. So
Exactly. It's disappointing because they're trying so hard and yet the results aren't getting there. So it just feels like, God, I'm trying this hard.
you're going to eat low carb, higher fat, higher protein. You're going to get into ketosis. You're going to release a lot of that excess water weight, which is terrific because you're going to look lighter and feel lighter. If you don't have a plan in place, then you might get things like the keto flu, a short-term memory loss, brain fog, and you're going to say, "Oh, this keto just doesn't work for me," right? So wait. So it's not as easy as just cutting your calories and moving more.
I mean, I wish it was.
Something that's very important that I talk about all the time, when you're eating a high carb standard American diet, you are retaining a lot of water weight. And then what happens is you're going to transition now. You're going to eat low carb, higher fat, higher protein. You're going to get into ketosis. You're going to release a lot of that excess water weight, which is terrific because you're going to look lighter and feel lighter. But you have this electrolyte dumping, mineral dumping that goes along with it. And if you don't have a plan in place, then you might get things like the keto flu, a short-term memory loss, brain fog, and you're going to say, "Oh, this keto just doesn't work for me," right? So, what are the hacks here? What are some things they can do, as for those who are getting into ketosis, to help that bridge that gap?
Test, don't guess. Really, that is the biggest mistake that I've seen people do. They or they'll do a test, they'll not get a consultation, and then they'll go, I don't know why it's not working. That's because you didn't know how to put the results into action. Or they'll do a test and consultation and not do a follow-up. Or they'll do a test and consultation, follow-up, and they'll be feeling awesome and sticking with this course, this path that is proven to get results. We get results for people. I mean, it's just a great, very scientific approach to doing something that cuts out a lot of this. Let me do this and let me do that and let me try. You got to know how. You got to know what's happening in this chemistry lab that is your body before you're really turning some high leverage knobs.
So wait. So it's not as easy as just cutting your calories and moving more.
I mean, I wish it was. I do. There's so much to dial in, and then we start fasting and we start intermittent fasting. We start skipping meals. Like you said, the water retention changes, diet changes, our everything. And then coupled with that, you go through life stress and these other things. So it's all of these things are supported by a good approach. So you're investing in yourself so that you can also make more money. You can have more energy. One woman recently who has a huge following online, I won't mention her name, but first name is Jennifer. And Jennifer said that she now has energy for date night with her husband.
That's great.
And she just flat out didn't. And she just kind of was just coasting through life. Like business was going well, but like personal life was just kind of in shambles because she didn't have the energy. She was putting everything into that. And it just wasn't fulfilling her because, she can, I mean, you have to have a well-rounded life to be able to enjoy it. We're here once, we got to invest in ourselves and it's investing in others at the same time when we do so. It's investing in everyone you care for because of just how much different you are as a person. I mean, nutrition, this. So many people listening know this, but if this is the first time hearing it, nutrition does influence your personality. If your sodium to potassium ratio is super low, I'll give you something super specific. If it's below a certain number on just that one ratio, you at some point will have emotional disturbance. Guaranteed. So when people question, oh, hey, it's a good question. Hey, is this testing accurate? Yeah, well, I can tell you that you have these 8 symptoms without ever meeting you or hearing your voice. So our nutritionists do that now in consultations all the time, and they'll say things to people like, "Have you been dreaming much lately? It doesn't appear that based on your levels that you would be able to get into a dream state very often," which is important for processing what's going on in a day. It's one of the 3 phases of life. And people, as old as Vedic tradition, knew that this was important. You need to be able to process dreams so you can just, come to solutions faster. You can grieve, you can accept things, you can move through life differently. So, nutrition influences all of that, and testing influences all of that. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question.
No, it's so true, Barton. Health is wealth. And if you don't prioritize your health, here's what I say: if you treat your health casually, you're going to end up a casualty. It's not something that you want to treat lightly. So health is not an expense. It is an investment. And when you fill your cup up, like the example of Jennifer, then you fill the cup up of those around you, the husband, the wife, the family. But if the opposite is true, like my dad, we have similar stories. I ended up losing my dad a few years ago. He got sick. When somebody gets sick, not only does the person who gets sick suffer, but the whole entire family suffers. You have to see that whole progress. You got to take care of the person. So it's the most selfish thing you can do is to get sick. And one of the most unselfish things you can do is take care of your health and prioritize your health. So I love that you said, test, don't guess. Let's stay on this topic of keto, and then we'll transition into fasting, and then your 11-day water fast.
Sure.
Besides doing the testing, let's say somebody hasn't done it yet, but they're doing keto. What are some general recommendations per your supplements that you would recommend from upgraded formulas to pair to a ketogenic lifestyle?
Absolutely. No surprise for people. I'm just going to give you a magnesium that works better than the one you're currently taking, but upgrade magnesium, upgrade potassium. Those are 2 no-brainers.
I'm taking those every day, by the way.
Yeah, awesome, man. How do you like them?
They're great. My REM score has gone up since I started with the upgraded magnesium.
Whoa, we haven't even talked about this yet. This is all right. That's good to hear. Dr. Vampa said the same thing. I remember he had been taking them for a while, and I met him at his conference for the first time in person, and he's like, "Yeah, you've been running this conference, sleep score 93." I was like, "Yeah." The upgrade iodine is something that everyone needs. It seems like at least a little bit, even if you're hypothyroid. At least a little bit. That's my belief, at least.
And if you're autoimmune, you got to go really low and slow. If you have
really, really low and slow. Yep. But you still, look, it's the key. It's not the only mineral that the thyroid needs. Certainly, I created peak thyroid that I personally take every day because it's a balanced approach of zinc and copper, along with iodine and selenium. In a form that you can really absorb through our technology that's proprietary and unique. And, it's really essential that we not only take the right products, take them often enough, but that we actually absorb them. Just going back to that previous point. So, that's the reason why you see the sleep score increase. So those are 4. We have one that, it's currently called Upgrade Sugar Support, which helps with fasting and sugar cravings. And that's awesome. It has zinc, it has manganese, it has chromium, it has some trace minerals in it. That's really, really cool.
Time to take that?
I like taking that, kind of just in my water throughout the day.
And before a meal?
And certainly before a meal, earlier in the day, typically. There's nothing that's, that's, I started to say psychoactive, but nothing that's going to, that's also true. There's no, caffeine or anything like that that's going to elevate someone. Magnesium, if you're taking ours, you can take a capsule whenever you're feeling anxious or stressed, and that can really calm that down. Or if you've had too much caffeine, it can help you calm that down. But certainly, for most people, 2 capsules before bed is a good place to start. And that's probably less magnesium than they're currently taking in terms of total milligrams. but you're absorbing a lot more, so you need less. We started saying is size does matter.
Yeah, right.
And in this case, smaller is better. Smaller is the
Better, right.
direction we want to go in.
The opposite.
All the women are like, what are you talking about?
These guys.
Vehemently disagreeing. There's electron driving force, there is size, and then one of the things that we do that's unique is stability. So stabilizing these particles in a way that we have opportunity to patent. So yeah, that part is there's not a whole lot I can say there on the stabilization side of it yet. But yeah, just try it for yourself, like Ben's doing, and yeah, I think you'll see some really good results. Most people are high in calcium, so taking magnesium is a great idea anyway. But again, test, don't guess. And then keto, just to like finish up on that question. Yeah, I mean, the upgraded sugar support may be rebranded by the time you hear this as upgraded metabolism. But however you find it, you can just look through the products and see the supplement facts and pick whichever ones you need to. And it just depends. Like, do you have sugar cravings? We have a solution for everything that you'll find on the test that you might be low in. And then salt, like having enough salt is key. And we talk through that, in the consultation as well about, people's goals, and then our nutritionists really just, listen to people too. I think that's so key. Most people have never really been listened to, in their health. Like, if they've gone through the normal, like, doctor sort of protocol, and, it's just because the way the system's set up. I think a lot of doctors would like to be able to give more time to their patients, and it's just so difficult, the way that system's set up. So I hope that answers your question.
It did, yeah. And I would add on there, if you've been doing keto, or I should say, if you've been in ketosis for a very long time, maybe more than 6 months, just strict keto, I have seen, just with the clients that I work with, that the thyroid can begin to dysfunction. We need insulin to make that T4 to T3 conversion. So I would recommend doing some, what I call keto flexing. I'm writing a book all about this, where we actually intentionally get out of ketosis and support the thyroid. So peak thyroid support could be a great addition to somebody who has been in ketosis for too long. The branding is really cool, because on the bottle of your peak thyroid, it says, I don't have it here in front of me, it's over there, but it says cold hands, cold feet, like the typical thyroid dysfunction symptoms. And that's going to resonate with a lot of people. So brilliant job putting that on the actual label. So I would throw that into the mix for anybody who's been doing too much keto or too much fasting, which let's now transition to fasting.
Sure.
You recently did an 11-day water only fast, and you said you felt terrific. Tell us a little bit more about the fast, and what was your exact protocol that you took and did during that 11-day fast?
Sure. Yeah. And for anyone, wondering, like, oh, I can't take 11 days off of work. I'm not suggesting that you need to go this long or anything like that. I knew that I could. I had, I'm 6 feet tall and, about 200 pounds. And I dropped 6 pounds of body fat. I knew I had enough stored body fat that, my body could, through ketosis, burn that fat. And I just wanted to keep my organs, like thyroid and adrenals, where you're producing 98% of your body's energy. I wanted to keep those powered with the minerals they need. They spend the currency of particular minerals, so I wanted to take those minerals. So I took peak thyroid, I took iodine, and I took our magnesium, upgraded potassium, and I felt awesome. I worked really efficiently. I remember, like, day 8 getting so much work done. And I'd done a 5-day fast before, and like day 4 was awesome. Day 3 was kind of shaky.
Yeah.
Day 1 was like, okay, like pretty good. Day 2 is like, okay, really good. And then like a little energy slump. But for the most part, it was really good. And I felt like I could just go longer. And I know I've heard someone say a long time ago, if you could do a 7-day fast once a year, it would cut your risk of cancer by like 95% or something.
Yeah,
Something absurd.
That's exactly the quote from Dr. Thomas Seyfried. Yeah,
There you go. Thank you. I'm glad you
exactly.
remember that.
So
Yeah.
95% of any cancer. It's crazy.
That's worth doing. So I got to like day 5 and I dinged my knee up. Just running sprints. I had a partial pull on my hamstring. I dinged my knee up, and I hadn't had injury in like 12 years or so. And I could just tell it would be a nagging injury. So I sat in ice that night. Here in Austin, I went down to the springs, jumped in, cold water, sat there, and I couldn't bend my knee the next morning. So I knew it would be a nagging sort of injury. And I also knew that through fasting, I could heal faster with all the stem cells coming out of bone marrow. So I felt really, really good about it. And I went and I had a podcast like this I like to be fasted for anyway. And that was like 48 hours in, 44 hours in or something. I just kept going. So that was a goal. Just kept going. It's like at least Friday afternoon, I want to do that. And then, it just gets easier. And as long as you don't kind of bonk out because your cellular nutrition is just so off and skewed, then you can stay in and you can ride this wave. And I sipped black coffee up until about 1 p.m. each day as needed. But I tried to keep that just kind of mellow. Didn't want the adrenaline to spike up too much or anything like that. Because anytime we're stressed, we're going to burn through minerals faster as well. So yeah. So those are some things I did, and just salting the water, which I do daily anyway. But I do all of this based on my levels, so I knew where I was going into the fast, and I think that's important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I none of those supplements, by the way, break the fast for those wondering. I'm sure.
Right. That's true.
None of them push your body towards any direction where it's going to raise glucose and break the fast. The coffee might, but not, you're still going to get a lot of the benefits.
Yeah, certainly.
And it depends. Did you check your glucose and ketones throughout the fast?
I checked ketones, and I started to see that I was incredibly high in ketones, like a 4.0 and higher pretty early in the fast. And then I was getting so much done and I felt so awesome that I was like, I'm just not concerned where I am. So I wasn't checking daily or anything like that because I was working 12 hours a day because I enjoyed it. I felt so good. And I was just getting that to-do list done that we all have. And I was just completing projects. I finished up another round of R&D during that time. It was incredible. I was like, this is... Yeah, I've got to teach people how to do this without pain.
Unintentional too, right? Because
it was unintentional.
Right. Yeah. That's even cooler because it was just like, I just feel good. I'm going to keep going.
I'm going to keep going, just intuitively, just going. All right. Well, I feel incredible. So that's a good sign. The body is super intelligent, and as long as we really know how to listen, I meditate. I use other ways to tune in to what's going on. Like what, and a headache obviously is our pain in the body. These are different ways, tinnitus, different ways that the body's trying to get your attention and go, hey, I need some help here. And as long as we listen to that proactively, I think we're in a good place.
Yeah, well said, Barton. A lot of people don't, though. A lot of people are not in tune with their body. It's like, they're driving down, they're going on a road trip and they get that check engine light, but they just keep hitting that damn light with the hammer and just keep driving. But
they paint over it.
Yeah, exactly. They put a piece of tape over it. But it's a notification letting you know something's wrong with your engine. And it could be a variation of things. I've never done an 11-day water fast. I've done a 5-day fast. I checked the glucose and ketones because Dr. Thomas Seyfried, going back to the gentleman that you quoted, the 95% reduction in cancer risk, he based that off of something he references as maximum autophagy, where you take your blood glucose and you divide that by 18 to get the European number. And then you take that number and then compare it to your blood ketones. So if you get a 1-to-1 ratio, you're in this maximum autophagy where Dr. Thomas Seyfried has literally seen these tumors shrink before his eyes. And then he would give the patient glucose and see the tumors grow again. Wow. So I imagine you hit that well and beyond, because if you had 4 point something and early on, your glucose is probably dropping. For me, my glucose was around 52 on day 5. My ketones were like 5.2, so I was well in that maximum autophagy ratio.
Really, really cool. You wearing a continuous monitor, or what sort of setup?
No, I was using just a device. I was using a Keto Mojo throughout the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah. I have them as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A CGM would be best, but the only negative thing is that a CGM, which is a continuous glucose monitor for those who are listening, doesn't give you your ketones. The company that comes out with a continuous ketone monitor, they're gonna bank. They're gonna make so.
Oh man, it makes you you're not eating, so you're left with more time to sort of inquire within, which can be tough for some people. And then they want to eat food, just from an emotional standpoint, because they're like, oh, I'm having time to think. I'm a little less busy now. It's like, whoa. But, and then if you pair that with, oh, well, Barton's doing it, Ben's doing it, Tara's doing it, Christy's doing it, you're just like, oh yeah, I feel united in this. And it's good, and still like drop out early if you need to. Like it's fine.
Absolutely.
Like even I would, like if I, for some reason, something was wrong that I couldn't identify, it's just different. Like when the body, there's just a huge difference between being hungry and like thinking you're hungry. There's such a difference, and it does take some time to sort of dial that in, right? And decipher the difference. We talked about tapping into and really listening to the body.
If once you understand how hunger really works, that it's a hormone, that the ghrelin, like all hormones, are pulsatile. You could just keep yourself occupied in that hunger and just ride that hunger wave, and all of a sudden you're no longer hungry. And a lot of it is psychological, and it can be tough if you do it by yourself, because you have temptations, you have people telling you. Even my mom would tell me, I remember, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna kill yourself, because she doesn't understand what I understand, right? So I had that influence, but me understanding how the body works, it didn't dissuade me. But I remember when I was going through my fast, I was here, I live with my girlfriend Natasha here in Miami, and she would tell me, why aren't you speaking to me? Like, you're so quiet. I got so introverted. I had this GABA going on in my brain. I was so thinking thoughts, and she's like, why aren't you speaking to me?
The injuries did heal, by the way.
Oh yeah, the injuries, they healed during that fast.
Yeah, virtually completely. I think the knee just had a little more of a deep bruise in the knee, but it was dead. I mean, 90+ % was healed. Hamstring totally fine. So I doubt there's no way it would have healed that fast otherwise. I mean, I had a partial pull of a hamstring. So I didn't really ice it except for the first night. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's an incredible testament to the human body, the capability that it has to heal, as long as you just remove the interference, which you did. You stopped eating. So that takes a lot of resources. And then you directed and diverted those resources to healing via autophagy, apoptosis, and then stem cells. So awesome. I love hearing stories like that. I was going to share with the audience that we worked out an exclusive deal for keto campers to get 10% off any of your products. And does that also include the testing kit, Barton?
It does. Testing, consultation, everything.
Awesome. So
for your first use on the site. So yeah, happy to do that.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Barton Scott. He is just a wealth of information when it comes to minerals and electrolytes to maximize ketosis and fasting so you feel good. Be sure to check out the links down below. You could get his products from upgraded formulas with a coupon code KETOCAMP at checkout to get a discounted price. If you want to listen to the full interview with Barton Scott, you could find that over on the Keto Camp podcast that is available on all podcast platforms worldwide: Apple, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon, Spotify. We'll put links down below. It's a 60-minute interview we did with Barton. On today's YouTube channel video, you saw a part of that interview, so you can listen to the full interview by going to the Keto Camp podcast. We'll put a link for it down below. I recently released a masterclass, if you will, on keto, where I went into 15 tips for you to maximize keto. I talk more about this keto flexing approach for long-term results with keto and fasting. We talk about electrolyte dumping, replenishing your minerals, and I want to direct you to that video. It is one of the best videos you will watch on keto. Hit the button right there, hit that screen, and you'll see me in the next video. Grab your pen and paper. This will blow you away. See you soon.